This is a build diary of the not Lego Enterprise D from Star Trek The Next Generation, which I got off Aliexpress. And I got this one for $70 with a $10 off coupon. And I've noticed that the price appears to be going up. And so they can range anywhere from 140 now down to about 80, seems typical. So if you're not in a hurry, I think you can definitely get a good deal on this, which compared to the 399 that the actual Lego kit is, that's quite a discount. I had the actual kit and the gift shuttle in my shopping cart on Black Friday, and I just couldn't justify 399 for a Lego kit. Not going into Christmas as well when I have kids that I can buy gifts for. So I had to wait out and take this option. And so far, I've been pretty pleased. This is the largest Lego that I've tackled. I've done the Tuxedo Cat. We've done some friends' houses kits, and then recently I did the Soundwave kit, which was also a knockoff. And so far they've been okay. Like the AliExpress kits obviously aren't quite as good, but the issues that I'll talk about, like I can live with for the discounted price. So here you can see the minifigs and the details seem pretty good to me. I haven't been able to compare them to the actual ones. So coming up here, Wesley has this thing that at first I was like, what is that, a metal detector? But no, it's his tractor beam from season one, episode two. And it makes a lot more sense when you can see the clip. um, Otherwise, each of the characters has, accessories that make sense from Data's cat. Jordy has some kind of random thing, Riker's trombone, and then Picard's tea. So starting out, one thing about this kit that's going to be different right off the bat is that there were probably at least 60 bags. Like for each of the 30 standard bags that would come in the Lego kit, they have probably two that are broken into smaller bags. The numbers are hard to see, and then the large pieces will be in their own collected bags, which you can see right here. And then some of the special accessories were in their own bags. So I separated these out basically 1 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30 in tubs so they could be on their own, so I could work on them one tub at a time. There were more bags. I wanna say I probably had to do 1 through 5 and then 5 through 10 on the first set of bags, and then I would just organize them as I worked my way through. So there you can get an idea of what the numbers look like, and they can be pretty hard to find when you're first starting out. So these are some extra instructions that were included with the instructions. The nice thing about Lego is that you can, when it's a knockoff kit like this, is you can use the actual Lego instructions in the app, which make it a lot more easy to follow along on the build. If you have to use the printed instructions, it's a challenge. I'll show later how those paper instructions come into play because it's not clear initially. So here's what the bags kind of look like. Like you should just go ahead and expect to open up, like if it's a 3-1, 3-2, just open up both of those. You can see there how the minifig, they can get caught up in other pieces. You have to assemble the minifigs independently, and that can be a little bit of a challenge, but they went together okay. So starting the build, I organize everything using bento trays, which is what you can see in the background there, and that way I have all the pieces organized individually. And then the build went pretty fast from there. Following on from here, you'll just be able to see how I progressed through it. The stickers, while maybe not as good as actual Lego stickers, were still okay and went on pretty easily. They're a little bit thinner. I did this to try and show some of the gaps between the Legos because folks had talked about that being an issue. It wasn't as big of a problem for me on these parts of the build. There were some other areas where the pieces might be on their own on the outer edges where the gaps were a little more of an issue. And sometimes you had to double press something or come back to it and, tighten it up later as the build continued. And once it finally started to make sense what I was building, it became a lot more fun as things progressed, and I could see the ship taking shape, and just the form of it was really cool. Now, those two red single dots were the only place that the kit seemed to be missing. It was definitely missing a piece. So there was a half dot angle that I'll have a picture of here in a second. here you can see the rest of it, how Lego does different colors on the inside to help you see and understand different parts of the build. Yeah, so that piece was missing, and I just replaced it with the red dot because that was gonna be hidden inside the saucer anyway. But what you had is you've got a flat angled corner piece like that, and then a rounded corner piece, which is what I'm more used to seeing. I don't see as many of those flat angled pieces, but obviously the rounded one is wrong, and so it wouldn't work in that location. That was one piece that I just didn't have more of, so I went with something different for that one. Everything else, I think I had all the right pieces. Anytime that I thought I was missing a piece, I ended up finding it later, so I really didn't have to pull much from my collection for the build. And then here you can see how I was working my way through the bags. I had the collected bags in their own tubs, so I could pull from them as I was working as they would come up. There's the nacelles. Here's just how other pieces as I organized them as I went, and you can get an idea of what that would look like. Okay, so going into the edges on the saucer, the very front piece, there are some they're different than the Lego pieces. And so you have to do kind of a different build with it when you put this together. And I still think it's slightly different than what the actual Lego piece is going to look like. That's a Lego set. It's one place where it isn't quite as nice, but you probably wouldn't notice it unless you had the other set to compare it to. And I'll have something just a second so you can look at what that actually looks like. But don't throw away this sheet because you're going to need it when you try to figure this out. And you can see, you'll understand when you get to these pieces how the ones that are missing are longer. So see that kind of dip right there as you go around? That's the piece that's slightly different. You can see how the edge pieces connect. And this is all pretty ingenious. I wish it could be tighter. It's one place where I wish the whole set was a bit tighter. But as long as you're not touching it and moving it around too much. So here you can see like this sticks out too far. And I went back and redid this later, which when I show the finished model again, you'll be able to see what it's a little bit different so it doesn't jut out quite so far because it was really bugging me how that looked. It just looked different. It wasn't a smooth edge around the whole saucer. Otherwise, oh, some remaining pieces while, once I was done, these are some that I end up using later. I want to say these were definitely remaining pieces right here. I think they threw in a lot of extras for the edge pieces just so that you could figure that out. So it's kind of gets into my own creation territory when you're figuring that piece out. And then this is the finished model. So I'll go ahead and just turn it over to some music here. But I'm really happy with this build. I thought it looked really cool. So, and I'll have some better images of the minifigs at the end too. So thanks for hanging out, and let me know if you get one of these for your own and how it turns out.